Hello, and welcome to A Word of Hope. I'm Brother Joe Trout, coming to you for Friday of the 24th week in Ordinary Time. We hear today in the first reading a challenging message in the letter to Timothy, that the love of money is the root of all evil, or in other translations, the love of money is at the root of many evils. It echoes what Jesus himself says, you cannot love both God and mammon. Okay? Now, we want to be careful right away that this is not doesn't turn into some false asceticism. That in fact, just 2 chapters back in the letter to Timothy, we hear that God made all things good. We ought not reject what God has made, but we should receive it with thanksgiving. This echoes the book of Wisdom that says, God loves all things that are and loathes nothing that he made, for he would not fashion what he hates. So what is so problematic about the love of money? Well, think about what it does in our lives. The love of money is about the accumulation of things, that we don't receive them with thanksgiving. We don't view them as gods. They're God's things that God has made and given to us. When we fall into this trap of love of money, it turns into a building up of treasures and possessions for ourselves, with the assumption that this life is really all there is. They're not put to use for the building up of the kingdom. And in fact, it turns into a kind of prideful self-reliance, that I have to have all these things to care for myself because that's the most important thing. Self-independence, autonomy, the ability to control my life and to not have to worry about whatever trends might happen down the road. But the godly use of money and the godly use of possessions is to put them in play for the good of the kingdom. Yes, that means meeting our own needs, meeting the needs of families, but it also means seeing the world around us and what can we do to build up the kingdom of heaven, because the most important kingdom where we want to have security is the life to come. That if indeed this life were all there was, then yes, we would want to make sure that it is well cared for. But the more important life is the kingdom yet to come, the resurrection of the body. And so we ought to put our treasure there, for we entered this world with nothing. We'll leave it with nothing. So what can we do with the things we've been given in the time that we have? This is always the challenge before us, and it's often shocking when you step back and look at our society and see how many different problems, if you really start dissecting them, you realize there's a deep greed underneath so many of them that we pass off as disputes about all kinds of other political topics, but at the end of the day, it's people clinging to their own things and not wanting to give as God gives. So I invite you to consider that today. How can you make of your wealth a gift unto the Lord? How can you use all that you have been given to build up the kingdom of heaven? Right. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.